Good morning, everyone. We will be starting the program.
Now we're starting now?
Yes. Xin chào, namaste, mabuhay. Welcome to the courtesy call meeting to the Ambassador of Vietnam to the Philippines, His Excellency Wang Hui Chung. To start the program, let me call on the ASEAN India Business Council co-chair, Dr. Ramesh Kodamal, for his opening remarks.
Thank you. Excellency Hong Hui Chung, the Ambassador of Vietnam to the Philippines. Excellency, it's a great honor to have a courtesy call online with you. If not, we would have been in person to meet you. But unfortunately, looking at the present situation, we are unable to do so. But nevertheless, we are from the ASEAN India Business Council, a council which has been formed by all the ASEAN governments and the Indian government to see how ASEAN and India can move forward, benefiting from each other where trade is concerned. And I'm very happy to note that Vietnam has been actually working very closely with India for the last 40 over years since they are when they had their embassies and bilateral understanding. So I think it's a great honor for AIBC to be with you here today to put in some input from our side on how we are looking at things between Vietnam and ASEAN with India. Because what we see is that ASEAN collectively on the whole, we have got 10 countries, and then India has a grouping of 1.3 billion people, which is a huge market. So every state in ASEAN plays a very important role to have links with India. So our ASEAN India Business Council, which we were formed in 2005, have got a direction to see that how we can work together to improve the trade relationship between ASEAN and India. Our duties are to see if there are any problems at the bottom line with the businesses. We relate these problems to the government officials, explaining to them for their help to see how we can resolve this. So we play a very crucial role. We represent the ASEAN businesses who are working with India, and a lot of investors from India who come to ASEAN are also looked into to see they do not face any problems. So we place our reports to the AEM, the ASEAN Ministers Meeting, which is held once a year. So this year, we are going to have a virtual meeting from Brunei, where we will meet the ASEAN ministers together with the Indian minister to explain our problems, if there are any, and how to further strengthen our relationship. We are at crossroads at this point of time after India moved out of RCEP. So now we have to see that how this shortfall can be overcome by we working together on the ASEAN India Free Trade Agreement, which has been renewed, so that we can have greater potential from the ASEAN countries to work with India. My colleagues today are there. Dr. Ravi, who is the Honorary Secretary of the ASEAN India Business Council, Johnny, who is the Chair for Philippines. We have also our representative who is the Chair for Vietnam, Mr. Indoril Sen, who will be joining us. And also we have other friends from ASEAN, like Chairman from Myanmar, Mr. Myotan, and others who are there. Thank you very much for joining us today. For me, it's very important to see that every ASEAN country benefits from the relationship with ASEAN and India. And for Vietnam, what I personally feel and what our research has shown us, that Vietnam is one of the good supply chain to India. We have been working very forward, As I told you, this is the 42nd anniversary of India-Vietnam bilateral trade relationship. That means we have been here for a very long time. And today, Vietnam plays a very important role to India in the supply chain because of India's slight differences with China. So I think there's a bigger opening for Vietnam to play a very important role here. Just to inform you, Excellency, a lot of Indian companies are actually moving towards Vietnam and they're investing in Vietnam. And we personally feel that this is not going to stop here because what we have seen is that within ASEAN, in fact, Vietnam has got the fourth largest GDP now. And so that's remarkable. And a lot of foreign investors are also looking towards Vietnam. In the first half, the GDP figures were very promising for Vietnam. And we believe that the trade figures also have increased in the first half, where the details are there. But I will not go into too much details in numbers, because what I personally believe is that once the pandemic is over, within might be 6 months or a year, there will be another booster coming in into ASEAN, and Vietnam is going to benefit a lot from India. Indian companies such as the Adani Group, the Tata's Group, they're already there in Vietnam, and I think they are doing very well. The Mahindra Group is also there. Chemicals major player SRF is there, and the renewable energy giant Suzlon is also there in Vietnam. So this clearly proves that Indian corporate players are already investing in Vietnam and moving forward to see how they can benefit from their relationship and supply chain from Vietnam. And looking at ASEAN, we look at it that within the ASEAN countries, we are very firm that we want to help every ASEAN state within the region to have connections with India. Here, I would like to highlight one point, that while looking at the giants coming in for investment, we must not forget the SMEs who are at the base level. Hello? Is there something wrong?
Go ahead, Dr. Ramesh. Go
Yeah,
ahead. We can hear you.
can, okay. So the one important thing here is that we should look into to see how we can encourage SMEs to cross borders and invest. And in India, we have about 97% of SMEs, and the figures are also within ASEAN. So this is a very important role which we should look at and see how we can help them. The opportunities for Indian investors are in various areas: pharmaceutical, agriculture, tourism, and as I said, SME is very important. India has got a good know-how of IT and digitization. I think ASEAN must take the benefit from this. While a lot of India's experts are going and becoming CEOs of huge companies in the Western world, I think ASEAN should positively look at it, that how we can take this opportunity to see what we can benefit from this. We must look at it, what is the Western world benefiting from India, and take a clue from it that we too can benefit on the same range from India and move forward. I think today's world is what you know and how you work forward for the benefit of each other. And the cultural and religious and ways of life between ASEAN and India are very common. We all know that. So with the borders of Myanmar, with the borders of the northeast side of India, I think ASEAN has got a great opportunity to look forward to work with India. And I'm very sure where Vietnam is concerned, it is going to be a major player of supply to India. And there's no doubt about it. We can see the trade figures which we have got within the last 6 months and 1 year. There's only an upward trend moving forward. But just because of the COVID, it has become a little bit of being a little stagnant. If you look at the figures of 2000, Vietnam's trade with India was only about 2 billion. Today, in 2020, the trade figures are about 12.5 billion. So I think there is a progress. And this progress is not going to stop here. And we need to work with everyone. One of our main reasons, Excellency, to have this courtesy call with you was to highlight the importance of AIBC, who is playing a role to help businesses move forward. We need all excellencies around ASEAN, around India, to know and support this cause. We are a little unfortunate that India dropped out of RCEP, but we are working on the ASEAN India Free Trade Agreement, which is going to be renewed, and we hope that this will be concluded very soon, hopefully by early next year, or this year we can come to some conclusion so that we have got a better opening in the new free trade agreement between ASEAN and India, so that we both can benefit from this. And I'm very sure that we are very happy to know, and thank you, Excellency, for the time which you have given us. And I really appreciate, because for us, every Excellency, every ambassador, every High Commissioner within ASEAN and India plays a very crucial role in passing the message across. And you are our person who actually speaks on how we can improve our ties from ASEAN and to India at any point of time, during conversation, during meeting, on a positive note, that we have to see that this agenda moves forward with a combination, with a population joined together of 2 billion people, which is close to 1/3 of the world's population. It is a fantastic thing. And it is not only the population numbers, but it's a young group of people, young population, which I can call. India has got nearly 60% or 65% of people below the age of 30. So I think this is a great thing for us to move forward, join hands, work together, and not looking at any differences. For us, where trade is concerned, we have only to focus to see how the businesses can benefit, how the countries can benefit, and how the people at the floor level can benefit. And this is what our objective is. With that, I would like to thank you once again, Excellency, for giving us the time. I am very sure that, God willing, that we would come and see you personally once we are able to. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dato Ramesh. At this juncture, to deliver his keynote message, may we call on the Ambassador of Vietnam to the Philippines, His Excellency Wang Hui Chung.
Thank you. Good morning, His Excellency Mr. Dato Ramesh Kodaman, co-chair of the ASEAN India Business Council, AIBC, as well as all of the key members of the AIBC presenting in the meeting today. I'm very pleased and grateful at the chance to have this courtesy call meeting with the AIBC. I also highly appreciate the AIBC putting active efforts in connecting with the Embassy of Vietnam. I'm glad that at this difficult time of the COVID-19, when business in the general is freezing because of the COVID-19, you are still doing everything to find opportunities for cooperation and development. Please be assured that our embassy in Manila is also working towards this same purpose, to foster cooperation and development, especially at the time of difficulties like this. We hope that through this meeting with the AIBC, our embassy can do something to contribute to the economic cooperation between ASEAN, India, and as well as Vietnam and India. The mission of the AIBC is significant to Vietnam because India now is one of the top 10 business partners of Vietnam, with the two-way trade turnover reach about more than 10 billion US dollar, as the co-chairman named. In 2019, our two countries, Vietnam and India, started our direct flight, two routes from Vietnam, New Delhi, and Ho Chi Minh City, New Delhi. The oil and gas sector are also prominent parts of economic cooperation between our two countries. As you know, ONGC, Videsh, and ISA Oil of India have been providing oil gas exploration service in Vietnam together with Vietnam Petro, which is significantly important to the economy of Vietnam also. And you know that in 2013, Tata Power, part of India Tata Group, won a contract of 2 billion thermal power project in Sóc Trăng province, the southernmost province in Vietnam, which is India, the largest investment project in Vietnam up to date. Yeah, I cannot name every project of investment of cooperation between Vietnam and India, but I'm sure that the linkage is really significant between our two countries. At this time of pandemic, Vietnam is putting a lot of efforts in producing the COVID-19 vaccine domestically. And you know that we have connected with other countries with the support of WHO to acquire the technology to produce vaccines. Whereas we know that India is one of the COVID-19 vaccine production center of the world, in the world. So I hope that India and Vietnam can collaborate in this regard too. Yeah, in the end, in short, I believe that the potential for economic linkage and cooperation between Vietnam and India is huge, as you mentioned before. The Indian government recently launched a Look East policy, the policy of Look East, and Vietnam surely will be one of the countries to put it in the center. Yeah, we know we concentrate. Between Vietnam and India, we are the strategic partnership, and you know, although the COVID-19 pandemic is opposing connectivity, I hope the AIBC will find a way to boost the business cooperation between India and ASEAN in general, and between India and Vietnam in particular. I'm excited and honored to hear and learn from you today. And thank you for your kind words for our two countries economic relation. And for our part, our embassy will do our best to implement that in order to enhance mutual benefits partnership between India and ASEAN, and also between ASEAN and Vietnam. And you know that today, joining with our meeting, we had the embassy commercial counselor, Madam Nguyễn Kim Phượng, and for the detail, she can intervene later. And once again, please let me thank you for all your kind word, His Excellency, to our relations And between Vietnam and India, we have a long history and traditional relations from the Gandhi time and before that. And you know that our late President Ho Chi Minh, he was a close friend to India, and India helped Vietnam to struggle uh, to gain independence, to defend our country during the wartime and now during the peacetime also. And you see, may I have some words that my ambassador to India, Mr. Pham Sanh Châu, he's a very active man. He's a very active ambassador. So I think that for the AIBC and also the India economic establishment or ministries in economic field can have a talk with him or connect with him. I think that he's long time ago, maybe he was born in India also, and so that he was my boss at home also. So he's a very active person, and he tried everything to push up our relation between India and Vietnam also. Yeah. Once again, let me thank you, His Excellency, and all the others joining the meeting today. And I will send home all your messages, and then here I will try my best to push up our relations. Thank you, His Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Ambassador Wong Hui Chung. Now, to talk about ASEAN India Business Council in the region, may we call on AIBC Honorary Secretary Datuk P. Ravidran.
Thank you very much, Aris. Your Excellency, Ambassador of Vietnam to the Philippines, AIBC Chairman, Dr. Ramesh, members of the AIBC Council from around the ASEAN countries, from Vietnam to Myanmar to Malaysia and Brunei and the other ASEAN members. Your Excellency, I do not intend to take too much time today, but rather just to highlight 3 or 4 important points. The first point that I'd like to highlight to Your Excellency is that AIBC has been in existence for the last 15 years. However, our AIBC is not known very well among the businesses in the region as well as within the governments in ASEAN. Not much attention is paid to us as compared to how governments react to the bigger chambers like the American Chamber of Commerce or the EU ASEAN Business Council, the US ASEAN Business Council, the Canada ASEAN Business Council. So one of the objectives of AIBC today, why we are reaching out to the embassies, to the ambassadors, not only in ASEAN ambassadors in ASEAN, but we are also reaching out to ASEAN ambassadors in Delhi to brief them on what the AIBC is doing. The AIBC is now very active in the last 5 years, I would say. We have regular engagement with the ministers, the ASEAN economic ministers and the Minister of Commerce for India. We have been submitting annual recommendations. Recommendations are submitted in 2 parts: recommendation from our counterparts from India and recommendations from the ASEAN side. The reason why we have 2 parts to the recommendation is sometimes the Indian recommendation and the ASEAN recommendation do not converge. We have some difference of view. For example, AIBC ASEAN is fully supportive of India joining RCEP, but somehow we find that AIBC India is not really supportive of India joining RCEP. They're worried that the Chinese products might enter the Indian market through ASEAN, and therefore the trade deficit that India has with China and with the ASEAN countries will continue to expand. So, to have a neutral and balanced recommendation, so we have it in two parts. Of course, there are areas where we have a common understanding. So, notwithstanding the slight differences, we are working very closely with our Indian counterpart. The second reason why AIBC is now reaching out to the ambassadors, ASEAN ambassadors in ASEAN as well as in India, is also to show to our to because India is not part of RCEP now, so we do not want our ASEAN countries to ignore India. But India on its own is a huge market. India and ASEAN collectively make up almost 2 billion, or slightly less than one third of the global population. Of course, there are challenges in doing business with India, but at the same time, I see India's non-participation in RCEP as an opportunity for ASEAN businesses. I think we are in a position now to increase our exports to India, as China has no bilateral free trade agreement with India. So ASEAN can play the role of a hub, trying to reach out to China on the one hand and India on the other side. So we are encouraging our Indian investors to come and invest in the ASEAN region so that they can export not only to the ASEAN countries, but also back to India and to China and to the other countries that ASEAN is a part of the FTA. For example, Vietnam is a member of it has an FTA with EU, has an FTA with the Eurasian Economic Union, has an FTA with the UK. So we are using these FTAs. For example, I calculated this morning, Singapore has a market reach to 69 countries through bilateral or regional FTA. I think Vietnam has a reach of about 60 countries, slightly less than Singapore. So we have to use this as a selling point to the Indians to encourage them to come and invest in ASEAN. All the ASEAN countries have different strengths and weaknesses. So, for example, Vietnam is very strong in a number of areas. So the Indian investors can go to Vietnam. We are strong in Malaysia. We are strong in certain areas. The Indian investors can invest in Malaysia. While we compete for investments, I think there are a lot of complementation. So the council here plays a role of trying to encourage. The first step is to get more Indians to come to ASEAN. Where they go is a commercial decision. We will leave it to them. I know India has a very strong ties with Myanmar. I know there are a lot of Indian G2G engagement, if not the private sector, but I think there's a G2G engagement. So, Your Excellency, the AIBC Council will be reaching out to you and to the other ambassadors by way of to request for your support, not financially, but to participate in our webinars, in our seminars, to provide us with expert speakers. Some of you may be an expert in certain topics, so we welcome the support given to us by way of participation in our activities, as well as in providing expert speakers. So today I will reaffirm to Your Excellency that we have very strong members in all the 10 ASEAN countries. So with their support, I'm sure that AIBC will, in the next 1 or 2 years, have the same profile, as the same reach as the US ASEAN Business Council, the same reach as the EU ASEAN Business Council. We want to engage ASEAN government, not only at the senior economic officials. We want to engage the finance ministers. We want to engage the presidents. We want to engage the prime ministers. We need to reach out to them to explain to them that there is this big opportunity with India, and how do we tap that opportunity, and AIBC will provide that platform. So with that, Your Excellency, I will stop my short remarks on the role of AIBC today. Thank you very much. I pass the floor back to Aris. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorary Secretary Dato Pravidran. Now to talk about the business opportunities in Vietnam, may we call on the commercial attaché of Vietnam Embassy to the Philippines, Madam Kim Nguyen.
Good morning, Dato Ramesh Kodaman, AIBC co-chair, His Excellency Mr. Hoàng Huy Trung, Vietnam Ambassador of Vietnam, and the other member of the AIBC, ASEAN India Business Council. Let me have a short introduce about the presentation about the business opportunity between Vietnam and India, and also in general, in particular, and Vietnam and within ASEAN with India on the aspect of the business opportunity. So in my presentation, I would like to have like talk about these. First is we should address for the issue and the situation between the two side trade. The situation is that about the current situation, and then how we can combination between each other to solve the issue. So first of all, I would like to talk about the trade between Vietnam and India in particular. For a long time and traditional, Vietnam and India is a traditional partner between the two sides. India is always the seven biggest trade partner for Vietnam. The other side, Vietnam is a 4th trade partner within the ASEAN with India. And as you know, it's a very long time, more than 40 years relationship. And nowadays, a lot Vietnam address India is very potential for the different area, because I'm in charge for trade in goods only. So maybe in my presentation, I also focus mainly in trade in goods. So I'm sorry about this one, because we don't have enough time to prepare for the other sector, like investment and trade in service and the other sector. India in Vietnam, we always highly appreciate India in trade in the highlight sector such as nowadays is a supply chain from India, IT, automobile, also for logistics and pharmaceutical. Within the Vietnam and India, and also within the ASEAN and India, the framework for cooperation. Now we address and recognize that Vietnam and India have some issue we should be recognized and also resolved in the future. It's we have got a very high potential between the trade in two sides. The demand too high in every area, but we also have a lot of the barrier and challenges that business of Vietnam and India have to face now. May I address? I should address this issue in within the part I talked about the ASEAN and India trade issue, because I have some similar. So I think the biggest between the Vietnamese businesses, they pay attention in India is that now not only some area for service like IT, some small for chemical and pharmaceutical, and also for investment like infrastructure, and a lot of projects from India. But I think that because the barrier between investment between the two sides have some challenge in the investment environment, like policy and environment for investment of both sides, and the shorts for the FDI project and also the investment project. Now, I would like to talk a little bit more about the Vietnam business. Thinking about the relationship between the ASEAN and recognize and that the problem and obstacle between the ASEAN and India in general. We have a high potential for demand between the two sides, one in ASEAN bloc and the other in India. But we see currently the turnover between the two sides a little bit reduced in the recent time. Whatever I learned that in the AIBC meeting last year, from India side, we also make the perspective potential turnover between the two sides. It's up to 300 billion US dollar, but in fact we got only nearly 80 billion. So now address for the issue between the ASEAN and India, we easily recognize that because each side have very high tariff level for market access. We got a trouble with the steel sector, with automobile, plastic, and the other area. Not only tariff, non-tariff barrier is very high now. Nowadays we got a trouble with the certificate of origin, custom issue, and also other trade remedy barrier, and also for the non-tariff and non-tariff matter. That should be resolved within the framework between the ASEAN and India, not only for AIBC. I mentioned about the AIBC is the trade in good agreement between ASEAN and India within our free trade agreement, and also the other regarding to the investment agreement. As Dato Ramesh talked in your opening remark that we hope that this will be solved within early next year by modification for the agreement for trade in good and also for trade in investment, and the other. The other issue for ASEAN is we also recognize India is our partner for high attention and high interest sectors such as automobile, supply chain from India, and investment from India, and also investment from ASEAN to India also, and pharmaceutical area and IT, and the other we such as healthcare and logistics. From my time in Philippines, I recognize that Philippines also have pay attention for the India by the infrastructure area, and nowadays Philippines also reduced for some tariff from the right export from India into Philippines. I think it's we have some change in the environment and policy. area, the other point I would like to say that because we have got a high demand for the exchange trade between the two sides and a huge potential and larger area for interest. But now we have to face a lot of barrier and challenge. So I do hope that because from our side, within the very short time preparation for the meeting today, so we would like to hear from AIBC, your personal people who in charge for this business council. We talk about these how the AIBC address the problem and the perspective for the AIBC, how to improve such the how to say, economic environment by the government and between the organization, like supporting and promoting organizations such as IIBC, and the other how to connect B2B to facilitate for the trade between the two sides, and also remove the obstacle, also for the some obstacle and barrier between the two sides, and the way how to combine between the AIBC with the government within ASEAN, India, and the other organization. I also have one point I would like to raise within our meeting today, that from my position, because I'm from Vietnam and located here in Vietnam Embassy in the Philippines. So my question is how to make the tripartite between India, Philippines, and Vietnam. In that, Vietnam and Philippines within the ASEAN bloc to exploit the business opportunity between the ASEAN bloc and India in general, and each country promotion in this relation. And I do hope that Vietnam Embassy in the Philippines, our ambassador today, and I am in charge for trade. We are very high for the effort to organize this meeting, and hope that in the future we have a how to say challenge for the how to exchange experience, exchange information between the two sides, and the way in how we can accept and attend to the activity of IEBC for development trade between the two ways to increase and remove obstacle. So this is my my presentation prepared for today, and I hope I did not attend all the area for the trade between the two sides, but I would like to hear and share experience from you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commercial Attaché, Madam Kim Nguyen. I think Commercial Attaché gave us like 3 questions. Maybe we can call on the co-chair before we proceed to our next speaker. Let's call on Dato Ramesh to answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. I think your questions are very relevant at this point. We too from the ASEAN side are trying to see that how we can actually bring down the non-tariff barriers and measures which we are having with India. That is where there is a deadlock, where we feel that the tariffs are quite high at this point of time. And we would like to work towards this. We have been speaking to the ministries, we have been speaking to our SIOM leaders to work on and negotiate whatever is supposed to happen. But we are moving forward, but it will take some time. But hopefully, with the negotiation of the coming ASEAN-India FTA, there will be some changes. And your next question is, how do we link people from Philippines working with Vietnam and India? Yes, that's an interesting thing which we too in AIBC are working towards. What we believe is, for businessmen, they do work within all ASEAN countries. You will definitely have some Vietnamese who are working in Philippines, who are
Yes.
good in certain things, which you can collaborate with the Vietnamese in Vietnam to work with India. So we are also working on a format where we can work with the US Business Council, the EU Business Council, the Japanese Business Council, because they have got their companies already in ASEAN. So if we can work with these companies to work together to move forward, working with our Indian counterparts, that means we are creating a chain to work with. So I think that is possible, but we have to start focusing on it to see how do we do it. We have to identify the businesses who are actually wanting to work with India, and we should identify the businesses who might be in Philippines, Vietnamese businesses, that they can again link with our other ASEAN companies. What we need is, in this whole situation, we need ASEAN countries to link together first. We need ASEAN companies again to link with the Indian company. So it is a process, and I'm very sure if we work towards it, we will achieve it. Does that answer the question, madam?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh. Now we move to the next part of our program. Uh, as Dr. Ramesh told us a while ago, ASEAN Indian Business Council is very active, not only in India, but as well as in ASEAN countries. Let's hear from the country chair of Vietnam, AIBC Vietnam, Mr. Indranil Sengupta. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning to Dr. Ramesh and all my other colleagues of AIBC, and a special charang to His Excellency Ambassador Wang Wei-chung. I've been here now for 14 years in Vietnam. So I came to Vietnam to start the whole Tata story and all the Tata investments and businesses in Vietnam 14 years back. And and we did, finally, we did have 4 Tata companies here in different businesses. I left Tata and started on my own a couple of years back. And I decided to settle down in Vietnam because I became a Congé Vietnam. So then so seeing Vietnam growing over the years, in the last 1.5 decades, and also seeing how the relationship between India and Vietnam has grown. I was there present when the strategic partnership was signed in 2007 between Prime Minister Nguyen Thanh Dung and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, and also the comprehensive partnership which was signed in 2017. Having said that, I think we all know politically India and Vietnam has been very, very strong, and I think it enjoys one of the strongest relationships between both the partners. However, we have not been able to translate in that bonding and the strength and the trust in economic terms, both in terms of trade and investment. In trade, we haven't done bad especially in the last 10 years. I think the trade has increased, but in the last 10 years, I didn't see so much increase in investments. We have had some investments which Dr. spoke about. We are also going to have certain investments in IT. Two of the IT majors are here already. HCL, they're trying to put up a development center. They already started it, and also Mahindra Tech is here. But we do expect more investments, and I agree with that in one thing, which should focus on SMEs. because, as we just discussed, Vietnam is a signatory to the second highest number of FTA countries apart from Singapore. But Singapore doesn't have enough manufacturing bandwidth, and Vietnam has. So automatically Vietnam becomes the choice for investment destinations for SMEs so that it can export to 60 countries at the least cost delivery. So I think that is a key message which we need to spread to our Indian counterparts. And this is because to set up their smaller investment in SMEs, and especially I always recommend any investor who wants to in the SME sector is to pick up either an industrial zone or an industrial park, because the industrial zone and industrial park policy of Vietnam is fabulous. And it's like very convenient for SME investor to come. It's just a plug and play. So, and a single window approval. So one doesn't need to worry about many things. I mean, everything is ready. You have to just set up the factory and start. So I believe there will be a lot of scope on that SME investments into Vietnam from India, and I think we already discussed the sectors, so I won't repeat the sectors, which are the possible sectors where there can be more investment. And we also believe there can be a reverse investment into India. And the first company which has done is actually in a big way is FPT. So they have bought out a development center in Hyderabad, which is a cyber city. We call it Cyberbad. So the FPT is one of the biggest Vietnamese ITES company. They have quite a significant global presence, and they've bought their first M&A company in India. So there and there are other places where also there can be more reverse investments from Vietnam into India. One point which came out and many people pointed out is the infrastructure. I think India are very strong in the infrastructure play, especially in terms of EPC. And I don't see why Indian companies cannot make enough play in the infrastructure sector in Vietnam. The only reason which probably it is lacking, it's not because of cost or it's because of quality. I think the Indian Exim finances are more cumbersome and less attractive than the Koreans or the Chinese, whereas the Korean cost is much higher. Where the Indian EPC cost for infrastructure will be as good as the Chinese cost, but and better quality for sure. But our the ECA financing is I think we need to work on that area, Dato, and work with our Exim banks too, because that's for example L&T or S&W or all these guys are there, but they didn't make a big play in Vietnam. The third point, which is an interesting point, which I just picked up from Madam Kim Nguyen, what can we do where we can involve Vietnam, Philippines, and India? One of the areas which comes to my mind is the renewable area, sector, where India is strong, let's say solar or wind. And Vietnam, over the last 3 years, has also gained a lot of expertise in solar and wind. So both, it can be both the Indian and advantage of India is that India also produces the equipments. One, they're the investors, also produces the equipment, the solar panels and the windmills. And Vietnam has now good capability of execution and investment and Philippines is a good place for solar and wind. The irradiation is good, the wind speeds are good. So that can be one play which can be considered as between India, Vietnam, and Philippines. So I wouldn't continue longer because I think we have covered many of the points, and I would really like to look forward with working with His Excellency Hong Wei Chung. Yes, and we had a lot of support from my good friend Ambassador San Chao while he is in India. And just to let everybody know, the Politburo member, His Excellency Mr. Fan Bingbing, who was earlier the foreign minister and boss of Ambassador Chung, was born in India, in New Delhi, in Hoscos, because his father was also the ambassador of India from Vietnam, one of the earliest one. Yeah, so there is a very deep connection there between the Foreign Ministry of MOFA of Vietnam and India. So with that, I would like to conclude, and I would like to, whenever Ambassador Chung or Madam Nguyen comes to Hanoi, I would really like to host you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, AIBC Country Chair to Vietnam, Indranil Sengupta. Before we proceed to the open forum, may we hear a short message from the AIBC Myanmar Country Chair, Dr. Myo Tant.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present about Myanmar. His Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, I would like to request to consider 2 points. One is that Myanmar is like a bridge between the ASEAN country and India, so that Vietnam also export a lot to India. We can be this transit trade. If you do the transit trade through the Myanmar, you can export to India a very short time. If you go by vessel, it takes about 3 weeks. But if you go by land route, it takes about only 1 day, because we have the trilateral highway, which is almost complete, connecting India and Myanmar and ASEAN country, especially for the northeast state like Assam, Manipur, and Mizoram. And not only India, like a BVIN country, which is close to Myanmar, you can export the Vietnamese good to this country. And the second point is that Vietnam being investing in Myanmar, so Vietnam know how to invest in Myanmar. If you set up the industrial zone near the Indian border, which you can produce the export, then export to India. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, AIBC Country Chair to Myanmar, Dr. Myo Tant. Now we will proceed to the open forum. If you have any question, kindly you can just unmute yourself and probably you can ask. Thank you. Any question from the AIBC side? Okay. How about from the Vietnam Embassy to the Philippines?
Yeah, may I have one short word that
Go ahead, His Excellency.
yeah, okay, yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, so in short, may I have this words that I have to say thank you, His Excellency Dr. and the AIBC for the first meeting here. So I hope that for the first meeting, yeah, we all express our will, and then I can get the idea from that message home, and with my colleague, Indian colleague from Conze of Vietnam, is a very good for the, how can I say, for the relation between Vietnam and India. And you know that Vietnam is also the member of ASEAN. So we will try our best to have India have a cooperation, close cooperation between ASEAN and India, and Vietnam will a factor to help you. In short, I think that maybe we shall have the meeting later. So this for this meeting, for the big now, I with the from the Embassy Vietnam, we do not have any more question. Yeah, and we have Madame Phượng. Yeah, she's the commercial counselor of the embassy. So I hope that the AIBC in Manila can contact with us through Madame Phượng, and we can close work together. Yeah, for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, His Excellency. Maybe we can hear a response from our co-chair before we proceed to our closing remarks. Dato Ramesh, can you please do, Dato Ramesh, do you have any response to our Mr. Ambassador? Kindly unmute your microphone. Thank you. Dato Ramesh, kindly unmute your microphone.
Thank you, Excellency, for your kind words. In fact, it was a great honor for AIBC and its members to brief you on what is happening at the AIBC platform. And we are very sure that as Vietnam is an emerging country within ASEAN, we will have a lot of work to do with Vietnam and India. I think your kind words have encouraged us to move forward. Our speaker from Vietnam and our chairman, Mr. Indoril Sen, has already mentioned that being in Vietnam, he's very happy about it, and there are more investors coming into Vietnam. In fact, I would just like to request Your Excellency that if our meeting today, you can pass this message across to all your embassies about our meeting so that we can start linking with them. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Dato Ramesh. As what our ambassador just told us, no, AIBC in the Philippines is also very active, no. To give the closing remarks, let's call on the country chair of AIBC in the Philippines, country chair Johnny Shotrani.
Your Excellency, on behalf of the ASEAN Business Council, I wish to express our warmest gratitude to you and your country, Vietnam, for letting this courtesy call to happen, to explore more ways to improve economic growth, social progress, and cultural development of the region, to promote peace among states, as well as active collaboration and mutual assistance on matters of common interest in different fields. Our organization trusts that this will be the commencement of genuine and cordial ties between our organization and your nation, to speak opportunities for the betterment of the organization, the ASEAN as a whole, and for the world. A pleasant day to you, to diplomatic officers, as well as the men and women of Vietnamese Embassy in Manila, as we wish you all the best in your present and future endeavors. Rest assured, I will stay in touch with your office, and I will personally get in touch with the commercial attaché, Shimam Kim, and exchange whatever we have in common to exchange in terms of business and relation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, country chair Johnny Shotrani, AIBC in the Philippines. As country chair, Johnny told us, no, we shall be sending you the recorded file of this courtesy call. At the same time, we will also be sending you the contact information of all the AIBC country chair in the region, as well as the contact information of the trustees, board of directors, and the co-chair of ASEAN India Business Council. With that, again, thank you very much and good day.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.